Singapore has downgraded its official growth forecast for 2020 due to weaker outlook from the COVID-19 outbreak. Full-year gross domestic product, or GDP, is expected to be between negative 0.5% and 1.5%. The Trade and Industry Ministry says the baseline view is for growth to come in at 0.5%. Michelle Teo explains.
Singapore's economy grew by 0.7% in 2019, slower than the 3.4% recorded in 2018. It's also its lowest full-year growth since the global financial crisis in 2009. Slower growth in the fourth quarter proved a drag as it performed below market expectations. Still, the construction sector expanded by 4.3% in Q4, driven by demand in both the public and private sector. Growth was also supported by the services-producing industries, which rose 1.5%, getting a lift from the finance and insurance sector and information and communications. Meanwhile, the manufacturing sector contracted by 2.3%, led by output declines in the electronics, chemicals, transport engineering and general manufacturing clusters. Looking ahead to 2020 with the COVID-19 outbreak weighing heavily on forecasts, the Trade and Industry Ministry expects the manufacturing and wholesale trade sectors to be hit even harder.
Several firms in these sectors are already affected by supply chain disruptions arising from prolonged factory closures and labor shortages in China as a result of the measures implemented by the Chinese government to contain the outbreak. Domestic consumption in Singapore is likely to decline as locals cut back on shopping and dining out, as they did during SARS. This will adversely affect firms in segments such as retail and food services.
Looking to 2003, GDP growth took a hit in the second quarter back then, but quickly rebounded after the World Health Organization declared Singapore SARS-free. Economists call this a V-shaped growth trajectory, but they're more cautious about whether or not we'll see the same pattern in 2020.
What's important to note is that no one knows how severe and prolonged this virus is going to be. And if we do see a similar episode of having Singapore to be COVID-19 free in, say, May 2020, that could actually give a good case for a V-shaped recovery for Singapore. But given the fact that more so later is known about the virus, a U-shaped recovery more so could be on the cards.
Sectors like transport and tourism have already felt the impact of shrinking visitor arrivals, and analysts say firms in the food and beverage and retail sectors could also freeze hiring. Wage support measures to be announced in the upcoming budget could help to cushion the impact on the labour market.
We are expecting the government to provide training grants for sectors like tourism, so that workers would be able to go for training during this lull period instead of being laid off. So while there may be an impact on the labour market, for instance, unemployment rate may inch up because firms stop hiring for now, but as soon as the recovery happens and there's pent-up demand, you may see the labour market actually improving in the second quarter or third quarter this year.
On its part, the Monetary Authority of Singapore said it's prepared to recalibrate monetary policy should economic conditions change significantly as a result of COVID-19. It also added that it has enough room within the current policy band to accommodate another easing.